Hello everyone. In this Power BI session, we will discuss about Time Intelligence function. This function facilitates the calculation for comparing and aggregating the data across various time periods such as days, month, quarter, and years. Now let's see some of the time intelligence functions which we can use in Power BI. So our first function is the DATEADD function. These functions get a table that has a column either shifted backward or forward in time based on the specified number of intervals we have provided from the dates in the present context. So this function accepts three parameters, that is date, number of intervals, and the interval. And you can see the example of the DATEADD functions. Now let's see how we can do this in Power BI, this example. So this example here I have created one calculated column and I have used that example formula. So you can see here we have used date last modified, which is the date column, and we have provided -1, that will be if the current date is something like 25/3/2024, then if I will -1 I will provide, then it will return 24/3/2024. So and the day is the interval. You can provide month, year, anything. So now let's see how we can do this. And you will see this is the column. So here I have used the calculated column to calculate this formula, and you can see here, and I have used the date last modified column, that is 21st March. So I have used -1, that is why it is gone to this one, because in our date column we don't have 20, that's why it is not reflecting 20 where the dates are not available. So in that cases it is showing blank, else it will is showing the previous date of our. If I will make it 1, okay, if I will make it 1 and I will commit, here you can see it is showing the next date, like today is 21, so it is showing 22. Then it is 22 March, so it is showing 23 March. So this is how the DATEADD function works. Next, we will talk about the last date function. This function gets the last date from the present context or specified date column. And you can see the syntax. Last date function accepts the dates column, and last date is equal to the last date. In that last date function, we have provided one date column, that is date purchased, which will return the last date in that column. So I have already created the function, so I will show you. This is the last date function. So if I will print this function in a card visual, it will show you the last date in the date purchased column. If I will go to the date purchased column, and you can see the last date is 29th April 2024. And if you will go to the visual, and you can see the last date is 29/4/2024. Similarly, we can get the first date by using the first date function. So this is the first date example you can see here. And if I will use this function in the card visual, it will show you the first date in the date purchased column. So if I will go to the first date, you can see it is 18 March 2024. Now let's talk about the next day function. This function will get the table that the column this function is used to get the table that has a column of all dates from the next day based on the first date in the date column. So you can see the next day function accepts the dates parameter, and you can see the example of the next day function. Now you can see in Power BI I have created a measure where I have provided this next day function example, and I will use this function to show in table visual so you can get the clear idea about the next day function. So I will add the date last modified, and I will make it date last modified. And next, I will use the next day function in the card visual. Here you can see the next day always return the tomorrow's date. Okay. So if the today's date is 21 for March 2024, then it will show you the 22/3/2024. If it is 22/3/2024, then it will say 23/3/2024. This is how the next day function works. Next, we will talk about the previous month function. This function is used to get a table that has column with all dates from the previous month based on the first date in the date column. So you can see the syntax of the previous month function. This function accepts the date parameter. And next you can see the example that is calculating the monthly comparison. So basically it is calculating the total sales for the current month minus total sales from the previous month. Create the measure that will calculate the monthly comparison based on the sales. So I will use this measure in the table visual. So for this I will remove this one. I will use date purchased, quarter and day. I will remove. I'll use the month column and I will use the monthly comparison. So you can see the monthly comparison between the 2 months. Next, we will discuss about the total MTD function. This functions calculate the value of expression for the month to date in the present context. Total MTD function accepts three parameters, that is expression, dates and filter. And you can see the example of the total MTD function, which is calculating the monthly running total. Now let's see how we can do this in Power BI. Here you can see the monthly running total measure, which is calculating the total sales based on the table 1 date purchased, which will return total monthly running sales. So I will use this measure in the card visual, and you can see it is also returning the same result. Next, we will discuss about the start of year function. This function gets the first date from the current data of the specified date column, and you can see the syntax. So the start of year function accepts the date parameter, and you can see the example also. Here you can see the formula for start of year function. We created one example that will get the start of year function. So it will get the first date from the date purchased column, and we will show here. So I will remove the first date and I will select the start of year, and you can see it is also showing the same result. Now let's go to the date purchased column, and the starting date is 18 March 2024. So this is how we can use start of year function. Next we will talk about DATESMTD function. So that will calculate dates month to date. So similarly you have dates YTD, dates QTD, that will calculate dates year to date and dates quarter to date. Functions are available. You can check out in the documentation. So this function gets the table that contains a field of the dates of the month in the current data, and you can see the dates MTD function accepts one parameter, that is dates. So here you can see the example, that is sales of month to date, that is calculating the total sales based on the month to date. Now let's see how we can do this. So you can see the measure in the formula box, that is sales month to date. As I told, this is calculating the total sales based on the sale dates MTD. Now we will use this measure in our table visual. So for this I will select sales month to date, and it is also returning the same result. Next, we will discuss about the dates between function. These functions get a table that contains a field or column of dates that begin with a specific start date and end date. So this function accepts three parameters, that is date, start date and the last date. Now let's see how we can do this in Power BI, and you can see the example. Now you can see the measure over here. So it is calculating the distinct count of the product name. So in between the date from the purchased, if it is, so our start date I have provided blank, it will take the minimum start date, and the maximum date I have provided. In between those, it will distinct count the product names. So now if I will add one more table visual, so select one table visual, and from here I will provide the product name, and I will use this measure and I will make it So you can see there are distinct 15 products are there. You can see here total is 15. So 15 products are there in between those dates. So that's all for today. We will see you on next video. Thank you so much.